Hi, my name is Donovan and I am a transpersonal hypnotherapist. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about dream interpretation and how important it can be to change your life in a positive way. So we spend on average, about a third of our lives sleeping, and some of that time we spend dreaming. In the West, we often don't really find importance in those dreams. We often think it's just a bunch of garbage that is processing in our minds. It really is however you wanted to see it is. If you want to see it as just the brain kind of processing information from the day and nothing more than that, then that's fine. But we can also think, well, what if this is trying to show me something? What if this is trying to show me something that can lead me to make a better decision, to change my life and improve it in certain ways? If I can just decode the message. And that's the way I like to look at it. I love interpreting dreams, and I love to help my clients interpret their dreams, because I feel that when they get that sense of clarity, that it will resonate with elements of their life, which then they are more empowered to make changes, to make decisions that can make those changes. So the dream world is often very tricky to try and understand and interpret, because it's more symbolic in the way it works. It doesn't conform so much to our laws and our belief systems. I feel that when we fall asleep, a lot of our belief systems actually shut down, and I think that is what helps us to create these weird dream scenarios that often don't make sense and can be very radical in nature. The important thing is to write it down. When we write these dreams down, they help us to take the information from here and to put it onto paper, and that seems to solidify it a lot better. Once it's written down, we can often fill in the gaps that we couldn't have filled in before. So that's the first port of call. The second point is to then interpret the dream. What does it mean to you? So yes, you can look online at dream dictionaries and kind of the idea of what certain elements in a dream means, but they are often unrelated to ourselves. So for example, I may dream of a snake and you may dream of a snake, but it's the way we feel about a snake, not only in real life, but in the dream space, that will count. So I may be handling a snake, and that will be completely different to you who may be running away from a snake. It's always on a subjective manner. What does it mean as it's happening? The important thing to notice about a dream is, what I notice in my own dreams is the theme of the dream is the emotion associated to it. So as the dream is happening, how does that moment make you feel? That's very important. Notice that feeling that you're experiencing in the dream. The architecture in the dream is also fascinating and definitely symbolic. Sometimes you may be surrounded by very old buildings. Sometimes you may be going into a tunnel. Sometimes you may be climbing a mountain. These are very symbolic in nature, so they are an important factor in it. For example, a home setting. We always see our home, if we find home is where the heart is, that the home is where we are nurtured. It is something very close to our heart. So for example, if water is flooding into your home, that means that it's not really a good thing, because in our normal lives, we wouldn't want water coming into our home because it affects us. It affects our safety. For example, if your home is empty and desolate, what is that trying to tell you as well? So look at the architecture, that's an important point. Also look at the people that are around you in your dream. They are also symbolic representations of elements of yourself, 99% of the time. So for example, if my wife comes to me in a dream, it's something that she represents for me. It's not about her. It's just in that moment, my mind was thinking, what is the closest representation to assist me with the feeling that I'm trying to portray forward, and maybe that is my wife. It's very important to write that down in in a very kind of broad manner, just to write things down, to not immediately try and make sense, oh, is this just because I'm annoyed with my wife or something like that? But what is it that she means for me in that moment? Another interesting part of dreams, I always tend to move more towards what the symbolic message is, but I have noticed, especially in my own dreams, that a lot of interesting psychic stuff can happen. I've dreamt of people who have passed on, who have come to visit me, and now when I see those same characters in my dream, I can tell immediately whether it's a dream character or if their soul is visiting me. So there's a lot of psychic information. Loved ones can come through because I believe that our belief system is for the most part shut down, and I think it's our belief system which prevents us from communicating with our loved ones. So in the dream space, they can then come through and communicate. We will sometimes have premonitions in dreams. This is tricky ground to navigate because first and foremost, I would prefer you to work with the symbolic meaning of the dream. Then to touch on if it is a premonition of something in the future. See, the problem with the premonition dream is that if we put too much interest in it, we may be swayed in a way. So we may be so determined that it's a premonition that we're discounting the symbolic representation. So just walk lightly with premonitions. Write it down, and if it comes true, it comes true. If it's trying to tell you something, then work with it, but don't allow it to let you become paranoid about the future, because then you're not living in the now, and then you're not working with yourself in that moment. The other beautiful part of dreams, which I'm fascinated about, is becoming lucid in your dreams. You may or may not know much about lucid dreaming, and until you actually become lucid in your dream, you will never really understand the importance of it. It's not that you must do it, you can and you don't have to, but it is a powerful, awesome sensation. So a lucid dream is you normally have the flow of the dream. When you become lucid, you actually stop that flow and you awaken to yourself in the dream. So you don't actually wake up, you wake up in the dream. So all the dream architecture and characters and symbols are there with you. And now you can actually consciously interact with them. So the reason why I like lucid dreaming is because instead of trying to interpret your dream when you wake up, you can actually work right there and then with your dream characters, with your dream architecture. So for example, I'm talking about my wife, and my wife is here in the dream and maybe she's frustrating me. I can say to her, what are you trying to tell me in the dream space? For what reason are you presenting yourself to me? And often the dream character will speak back to you. It's quite a profound sensation. Who these dream characters are and how they're speaking back to you is beyond me, but you can learn so much from it. So right there and then in the dream, you're interpreting it as it goes along. You can also present to the actual dream space. You can ask just the open air, what is happening here? And it may get back to you. You can have direct interaction with loved ones who have passed on, with your guides. This is a great area to work with if you're interested in the more esoteric arts. It is completely safe, and the important thing to notice when you're having the lucid dream is that I am in control in this moment. You see, I've had a nightmare. It was starting as a nightmare and a scary figure came up to me, and I was lucid in that space, and I said, no, this is my dream, and I actually just squashed her face and she was gone. And I took absolute control of that moment. Yes, we don't always have to control the dream, and there's a good chance you may lucid dream once every 6 months if you're lucky. Some people are better at it than others, but I do find a lot of value in it when you can actually get to that point. Tibetan monks have been studying lucid dreaming for like 1,000 years already, and it's only fairly recently that it's being introduced into the Western mindset. I feel that this is another area of our consciousness that we are yet to explore deeply, and once we start exploring that, we will evolve to a new level of society. So I do think it's very important as part of the dream interpretation space and for whatever lies ahead that we are still yet to discover. So I want to thank you for taking the time for watching this video. My name is Donovan and I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist. Thanks, bye bye.